Hi everyone, welcome to day 5 of derivatives. Today's learning target is I can apply the chain rule. We use the chain rule to find derivatives given the composition of functions, a function containing something other than just plain x. So for example, f of g of x prime is equal to f prime of g of x times g prime of x. And remember, g prime of x, f prime of x means the derivative. So the steps for using the chain rule are keep the inside, take the derivative of the outside, and multiply by the derivative of the inside. So let's actually apply those rules to this first example. So for example 1, find the derivative of f of x is equal to 2x plus 4 to the 6. So the first thing I'm going to do is write f prime of x is equal to, I'm just going to deal with the outside. And what I mean by the outside is this 6, I'm going to move to the front. I'm going to rewrite, keep the inside, 2x plus 4, and I'm going to subtract 1, so that means there's going to be a 5 here. And then I'm going to multiply it by the derivative of the inside. What's the derivative of 2x plus 4? That's just 2. So f prime of x is equal to 12 times 2x plus 4 to the 5th. So just to recap, what I just did was I kept the inside, so 2x plus 4 remains. This 6 I brought to the front, so 6 times 1 is 6. I subtracted 1 from 6 to give me 5, and then I took the derivative of 2x plus 4, which is 2. So there's just a slight error on the answer key. There should be no x next to the 12. It should be just 12. Let's look at example 2. Find the derivative of f of x is equal to the square root of x to the third minus 9. So I'm just going to rewrite this as x to the third minus 9 to the 1/2 power. Remember, square root has a index of 2 here and a 1 here. So I'm going to then look at this. So let's see, f prime of x. I'm going to rewrite the inside, which is just x cubed minus 9. I'm going to bring the 1/2 to the front. And then I'm going to subtract 1/2 minus 1. And then I'm going to multiply by the derivative of the inside. What's the derivative of x cubed minus 9? Bring the 3 down. 3x minus 1, which is squared. So let's rewrite this again. F prime of x is equal to 1/2 times x cubed minus 9 to the negative 1/2 times 3x squared. Now let's put this all together. So remember that x to the third minus 9 to the negative 1/2, I can rewrite that. So I'm going to leave the 3x squared in the numerator. There's a 2 in the denominator because of the 1/2. And then this is really x to the third minus 9 to the 1/2 in the denominator. But remember, if you have something to the 1/2 power, you can rewrite that as a square root. So 3x squared all over 2 radical x cubed minus 9. And that's your derivative. Let's look at the next example 3. Find the derivative of f of x is equal to 1 over 3x minus 1 squared. So again, I'm going to rewrite this as 3x minus 1 to the negative 2 power in the numerator. So then what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep the inside, so that's 3x minus 1. I'm going to bring the negative 2 to the front times 1, which is just negative 2. I'm going to take the negative 2 and minus it by 1 using the power rule times the derivative of the inside, which is just 3. So let's put this together. So f prime of x is equal to negative 2 times 3, which is negative 6, times 3x minus 1 to the negative third power. Again, we don't want negatives as our exponents, so f prime of x is going to be equal to negative 6 all over 3x minus 1 to the third power. And that is my derivative. So again, rewrite the original, what's inside. Then you take the exponent, bring it to the front, multiply by whatever's in the front, subtract 1 from the exponent, and then multiply by the derivative that's inside. Take a look at number 4 and try that on your own. Okay, so let's take a look. So what I have here is I want to find the derivative of f of x equal to 7 times 3x plus 1 squared. So I'm going to rewrite the inside, which is 3x plus 1. I'm going to take this 2 and multiply it by the 7. So 7 times 2. And then 2 minus 1 is 1. I don't have to put a 1 here, but I can. And then I multiply by what's the derivative of the inside, which is just 3. So put this all together. 7 times 2 is 14. 14 times 3 is 42. Times 3x plus 1. And there is my derivative. Now, some of you might have seen this as the product rule, which also would work, and I want to show you why it would work. So if I have f of x is equal to 7 times 3x plus 1 squared, I can consider 7 to be u and 3x plus 1 squared to be v. And then I have to find the derivatives of u prime and v prime. So the derivative of 7 is 0 because it's a constant. And if I have v as 3x plus 1 squared, the derivative would be 2 times 3x plus 1 times 3. So we are using the chain rule in this. So I get 6 times 3x plus 1. Then I use the product rule formula. So I multiply u times v prime plus v times u prime. And because I'm multiplying by 0 here, that means this would entirely go away, and I'm left with 7 times 6 times 3x plus 2, which does in fact give me 42 times 3x plus 1. So either way you see it, you're still going to get the same answer. So next it says try to find the derivatives of the following functions. So if you notice in numbers 1 and 2, we have sine and cosine. So something that you need to know is that the derivative of sine of x is equal to cosine of x, and the derivative of cosine of x is equal to negative sine of x. I'm going to attach another video for you to watch that explains further why those derivatives are true. So let's look at number 1. I want to find the derivative of f of x is equal to cosine 3x plus 1. So what I have to do is I'm going to rewrite what's inside. So that's the 3x plus 1. What's the derivative of cosine? Well, that's negative sine. So I'm going to put a negative sign out in the front. And then remember, I have to multiply by the derivative of the inside, which is just 3. So finally, my derivative is negative 3 sine of 3x plus 1. And that is my answer. Let's take a look at number 2. F of x equal to sine squared x. Again, I can rewrite that as sine of x all squared. So to find that derivative, I'm going to rewrite what's in the middle. So that's sine of x. What's the derivative of sine of x? That's cosine of x. And bring the 2 to the front. And this is my derivative. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me. Have a great day. Thanks.